Thank you for listening to Comics for Fun and Profit. This is Comics Review with Kyle and Drew. You're listening to episode 219 for comics releasing May 13th, 2015. Kyle, what struck you as the best this week?
It was like I was struck by a hammer. That's right, we're going to talk about Thor 8. Thor 8, the big comic on the docket this week. This is the one we've been waiting for. Who is the female Thor? And this is also kind of a lead-in issue to the is that where all these female Asgardians and things from this kind of get together. Is this the A-Force? Is that who this is kind of a precursor to?
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Yeah, with all the different women together at once. Spider-Woman, Miss Marvel, Angeline, or whatever her name is.
Maybe.
And all them together. I didn't know if this was kind of a lead-in to what they're going to do with the A-Force here in a couple months as well. But essentially, we've got Thor, his mother, a bunch of female heroes, and female Thor, all fighting against the Titan. This big, obnoxious, can't kill it, can't hurt it, can't do anything with it, that is being controlled by Odin's brother. And it is hell-bent on getting Mjolnir out of the hands of Lady Thor. And not doing a very good job of surviving, our heroes are. This thing's really taking a toll on them, and I think the only reason we get by is because, you know, Thor finally says, fine, don't worry about it. Let him live. Let her keep her secret. Let her keep this hammer, and he gets into one of his funky little depressions he does. But all of this, I'm flying through this book as we're doing it, just trying to get to the last few pages, because in the beginning of this book, you know, Thor's got it figured out. He already knows who is under that helmet. He already knows who is wielding Mjolnir.
Is it called the Titan or the Destroyer?
Destroyer. I mean, when I said Titan,
okay.
I just went with it.
Okay.
I knew that wasn't right as soon as I said it.
I was like, did I misunderstand what that thing was called?
Yeah, but
yeah, we're gonna spoil some stuff, right?
I don't know how we can talk about it if we don't.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I think you have to. So, if you haven't read Thor 8, it probably is a surprise, and it would spoil it if you didn't know, if you hadn't read it yet. So tune out. Yeah.
Thor has figured it out, though. He's checked off his list, and he has come up with it has to be Rosalind Solomon, the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's who it has to be. She was seen going on the moon. It's got to be her. He's convinced it's the only one left on his list, and that's who it is. And then Rosalind shows up just moments after he says that has to be her, and completely ruins his idea. So he stomps off to his corner, not knowing who it is. He even offers to tell her, I will tell you what Nick Fury whispered in my ear that made me unworthy if you tell me who you are. And she wouldn't do it. Lady Thor
I'd kind of like to know that.
I was like, cool, win-win, let's do this. But no, she takes off, goes back to her little place. Queen Mother goes back and stomps around the castle, angry at her husband. But we, the readers, are privy to the information that nobody within this comic book is. That who exactly is Lady Thor? And the answer, Drew, is...
It's Jane.
Jane Foster.
Yeah, and we early on, that's who I hoped it was.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I hope it's Jane. That'd be awesome if it was her. And then he crossed her off the list.
Because she's dying of cancer, and she can't... Yeah. And she's bedridden.
How could it be her? So, I was a little. I don't know if I thought there was a problem, or didn't know if they played fair or not. I'm not really sure how I feel 100%, because if you'll, I don't know if you were reading Thor way back in the last volume.
'Twas not,
but there was issue 12, focused on he and Thor and Jane. And they kind of
that was the one in between the God Butcher and the next series that you got that one issue. Okay,
yeah, and it was like a one shot, and he was like, Jane, let me use all my godlike powers, and I'll try to thwart this cancer for you. And she wanted nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I don't want that. I don't want any of that mythological stuff.
And no. Two issues ago, when he visits her, she refuses magic as well.
Yeah, and so now I'll just wield the dang thing, which is pretty magical. So I'm not sure if she's what happened to the change of heart, or if there really is a change of heart, or maybe she just.
What seems to be doing the opposite, the fact that she is being Lady Thor and not having the strength to really be, she says that it's killing her. So she's fine at the time.
It didn't give her the cancer, though, right?
I believe this predates it, because if you're talking about her having cancer in issue number 12, that's when Mjolnir was still being readed by Odinson.
Yeah.
So, this is something she's picked up after she's had the cancer and everything, but it's something that's causing her to more rapidly than normal deteriorate. And I believe if I go back to a few issues ago, they talk about her sudden deterioration. And I assume that sudden deterioration is when she began wielding Mjolnir.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think of all the people it could have been, I think that's a great call. I mean, it's an empowerment of a female character, and now somebody's stricken with cancer, so I'm curious how long this is going to continue to go for. I mean, we see in the back of it that they're touting Thor's number 1, where you've got, Odinson, the female Thor, Beta Ray Bill, I think the friggin' frog. Yeah, there's the frog, and everybody else in this one. So I'm curious what they're going to do with this title, what they're going to tie into Thor, and if when we come back to this title, it's still going to continue to be the female Thor.
Yeah.
Or what happens in Secret Wars. I don't really care what happens in Secret Wars. But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. It was a nice little battle scene with the different women of the Marvel universe taking on the Destroyer. You had the nice double cross where Thor knows who this person is. He's got it dead to rights who it is, and then the double cross for that. And then finally the big revealed. So, I mean, it checked off everything I wanted. It was a great one. It held me until the very end. I think it's an A-.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good comic. I thought it was neat the way, he had his big list and he went through, and every time, we would think it was somebody, he would cross that person off. And so then we would cross that person off our list as well. And so it just worked just the way Jason Aaron wanted us to. And so, by the time it was revealed as Jane, I had already put her off as not being a possibility because he had. So I thought that worked really well. Because, that's definitely who I wanted it to be. And I was glad it was her. And, I had fun reading this. This was a good comic. I gave it a B. The best thing I read this week is Astro City number 23. And people get bored with me talking about Astro City. But
how creative, Astro City. What are you going to do next week? Give a saga?
I could have given the saga this week, but it was a good issue of saga as well. But this is the first of a two-parter on a talking gorilla who is named Styx and likes to play the drums. And that sounds silly.
You have my attention.
But it was really great. He comes from like Gorilla City or something. It's a place hidden in the mountains in Antarctica, where they kind of train to be militaristic gorillas and to protect their lands from people that might invade. And that's all he knows until they come to explore Antarctica and set up bases, and therefore they have access to the internet. And so then he can kind of through that portal he can kind of see and pop culture and hear music, and he kind of falls in love with music and creates his own drum kit and starts practicing, gets caught, and they take him away, and he makes another drum kit and keeps practicing, and then he fakes his own death during a training mission so he can escape to the big city and come to America, where he's heard all this great music, and so he wants to be a part of it. When he gets here, he discovers that he's a talking gorilla, so he kind of stands out. And but there's crazy stuff happens in Astro City, and his lifelong training has prepared him very well to combat these criminals and villains that pop up, and so he just naturally protects the people and fights the bad guy, but really what he wants to do is just play the drums, and so he finds auditions and tries to get in a band, but every time he gets close to his dream, something crazy happens in Astro City, or there's or maybe a group called I can't remember the name, but they're a superhero group, something 6. They try to recruit him, and he just can't chill and play the drums like he wants to. But he gets to do it a little bit, and he gets to meet some friends, and this is just a really cool story. Very, very well told. The character of Styx is really fleshed out, and somebody that you instantly are rooting for from the very beginning, and you really want him to succeed. And it's just cool the way he interacts with other people, the way that he gets to tell his story. It seems really natural. The art's awesome, and can't wait to see what happens in the next issue, which is cool. Everything you want in a first issue, really. So Kurt Busiek just crushes it again, telling us a story of a talking gorilla who runs away to Astro City. And here we are again, and I gave it another A.
And the A's continue to pile up for Astro City.
Yeah, they do. They do. Let's talk a little Walking Dead. Seems like it's been a while since we've seen one, because they had a couple in 1 month, and this one was just a normal release schedule, so it seems like maybe it's slower than normal, but it's really not.
Yeah. We catch up with Dwight, we catch up with Negan, we catch up with Maggie. A lot of talking going on here. A lot of catching up. Things hypothetically getting back to normal. Rick finally finishes his trek across the land and heads back.
Boy, oh boy, did we catch up with
We
Dwight.
did. We caught up with... Yeah, because have we seen Dwight since the flash forward? I don't think we have. I think this is the first time we've really seen him since we jumped time there a little bit. So,
okay.
But we essentially find out that Dwight does not want to be in charge. He's uncomfortable with being in charge, and what that means for him. And he really would like Rick to appoint somebody else to be in charge. But Rick, in a very Rick fashion, says, "I never appointed you in charge in the first place. Your people did. And if you want your people to appoint somebody else, then you need to talk to your people and tell them you don't want to do this anymore." And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
A good way of doing it. And then the big thing is Negan chilling in his cell, and the cell is just wide open, but Negan's just hanging out in there. And
now I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah, this baffles my mind. I just assumed the Negan I knew from All Out War would have ran around, found a baseball bat, and killed everybody he could.
But there is part of me that believes that it probably is nice to not have to worry about surviving. Yeah. And there might be something, too, just chilling. But you'd think you wouldn't want to be in that cell in the basement. You think you'd at least want to take a walk.
But
and I don't know why he wouldn't just run away, either. I mean, that one baffles me. And he's got something... Does he want to be mainlined back into society? Is he trying to get himself back into... so that they accept him and just let him go? And then he
great question, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what his game.
Yeah, but he explains to Rick, "Look, I could have went on a killing spree. I could have put a bomb in your bed. I could have done all this stuff and I didn't, and I want you to trust me. And of course Rick's like, no, you're a sick, sadistic killer. And they kind of go back and forth, and, Negan's like, look, you kept me alive. There's no reason you should keep me alive. The only reason I'm alive is you use me to justify that you're a good person. You're using the fact that you didn't kill me to justify all the bad, awful things that you've done in the past. And it was a neat little back and forth from him. What'd you think of the way that Rick handled the girl that accidentally didn't lock the cell? Yep.
Olivia? That seems par for the course, because he went off on the guy that didn't patrol the road well enough either. Yeah. So that seems to be the way he does things.
All these people are dead, and it's all your fault. Think about that.
Yeah.
But really heavy on the dialogue in this, but it all kinds of leads to a reveal at the very end, because we get this where Rick's like having a conversation with Andrea where we can never go back to just killing people because they're bad. We don't kill people anymore. We're creating a real society now. We kill the dead, but we don't kill the living. And then unless you're Maggie. And we flip to the very last panel, and what do we get?
Spoiler: Gregory
is lynched on a tree for his crimes against Maggie.
And everybody is like, I don't know if they're 100% on board. There are a lot of shocked faces.
I mean, I don't know if they're shocked because it's kind of horrific to watch somebody die like that, or if they're shocked because they've killed somebody.
Yeah. I don't either. And is there going to be repercussions because Maggie is doing her own thing like this?
See, okay, we got Jesus watching, and he seems fine with it. Maggie is watching. She seems fine with it. The little girl, whose name just escaped me, is watching. I mean, the people that seem a little bit shocked are the people whose kids got the crap kicked out of them and were kind of in his camp. Are not dealing with it well. And then some of the random bystanders we don't know a whole lot about are a little shocked. But I honestly think those are people that have kind of been sheltered from killing. Those are some of the people that have been behind walls for a very, very long time. And this kind of thing shocks them. So I'm trying to think who would really, really begrudge this. But I mean, we know there's going to be long-term ramifications, especially since Rick does not seem to agree with this type of thing. But it just kind of goes from the opposite of what Rick was saying to the antithesis of killing people like he said not to.
Well, I hope Gregory's really dead.
Yeah. And do we... Okay, we get an announcement from Rosalita that she and Eugene are having a baby. Is it actually Eugene's baby? I thought we okay, no. So it's not.
No, and I can't remember who it is.
I don't know that we've been told.
No, I think we were. It definitely wasn't because Abraham was dead. So it was whoever she hooked up with after Abraham, I think, and then they broke up But she was knocked up, and Eugene said, "Well, just pretend like it's mine."
Gotcha.
That was a while ago.
Okay.
I don't know how many issues, but it was. I remember. I remember that happening, but I can't remember who the dude was.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up now, but I do not know.
Yeah, another good issue, and I think they're going to accelerate the schedule a little bit.
That would be great. Yeah.
Right. Good couple issues out next month, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, this is another solid B+ for me.
We do not know who the father of the baby is.
I'm pretty sure we do.
Okay, I'm not finding it on the wiki or anything, and they're referring to it as just not Eugene's. So, listeners, if you've got any clarification for us, forgive that. This was an A-. I really enjoyed this for me.
Yeah. Good stuff. Darth Vader number 5.
Darth.
This continues to.
Yeah, it's Kanan, Darth, and then Star Wars for me at the moment,
and then Princess Leia
chilling in the rear. Of course, we've Dr. Aphra is kind of the assistant. This was actually kind of a weird issue, but I'm trying to think if it's kind of par for the course for Emperor, because I've always thought the Emperor was kind of a weird dude. And this is kind of more along the lines of the Emperor being kind of a weird dude.
Oh, I love the droids being the distraction.
Yeah.
You know, that was cool. I mean, I just love evil C-3PO.
He's great.
That's great. That's a great character.
But essentially, and we get, like, we're breaking into a city on the back of an evil space humpback whale.
Yeah, I think so.
So there's some odd stuff going on here, but essentially Vader is breaking into this facility using the good old evil C-3PO and evil R2-D2 as distractions. So what is his major goal, though, in here? Is he trying to... What's he trying to...
Is he still working on building his army?
I didn't know if this was building the army or if the army was used for this cause alone here. But we got a couple of fake Jedis as well in here that have essentially no Jedi, no use of the Force, but are just kind of playing Jedi in here. And they're part of some program run by CYLO-5, CYLO-5, who we knew as CYLO-4 before.
Did we know him from this book or from another book?
They talk like we do, but I do not recall. So I'm going to have to do some research more than likely on this. But then our good old Palpatine, our good old, and he's, our Emperor shows up, and this is a test that he's doing. He's talking about the Jedi and the Padawan relationship and the fact that there is very little need for it. And essentially these synthetic Jedi is something that he's leaning towards and seeing if he can make work. Because you've got, some different, you got the Calamarian, you've got a couple of regular humans, you've got whatever the race that looks like a big dinosaur is. All essentially created entities to act like Jedis, but not actually in control over the Force. So I'm a little not real sure exactly what's going on there, but it seems like it's just the Emperor kind of messing with things and trying to find alternatives to being a Jedi.
Since he's
killing Jedi and the Sith, there's not very many of them either. So he's trying to come up with some alternatives so he will always have that, ultimate fighting tool with him without having to do the difficulties of the Jedi-Padawan training relationship. There has to be two thing. So he's trying to find a way around that with something going on on this ship. And that's the thing that Vader's, getting ready to do his best to prove doesn't work, it looks like. But yeah, the highlights for me are Aphra, the droids, and Vader himself. I'm curious about, the guys we're going to fight in this next one and what they bring to the table and what exactly we're going to get. But I think this next issue is going to be really fun and action-packed. So Vader 6 should be a lot of fun. I still really like the art in this one. I really like the storytelling in it. Everything's concise. It makes sense. It's well done. It's well humored. This is an A-. I enjoyed Darth Vader number 5.
I'm at a B-. This was kind of not my favorite. I had some good stuff in it. But yeah, it was a little... I don't know. It's just... Yeah, it was a little off, I guess, from what it had been before. But I still think it's good, and just probably one of the weaker ones of the series for me.
I can see that.
Saga 28, another strong issue of Saga for me. This one, we have we lose another character, which is very sad. We start off though spending a little time with is it the Brand?
Yeah, the Brand.
The Will.
The Will is currently in a coma, and the whole reason that they're on this planet is to try to find some dragon semen to try to wake up old the Will. And in the meantime, we have his sister, the Brand, hanging out with the orphan kid and everybody on this planet as they attempt to do that. And we meet the Stock's brother. Right, brother?
The Stock. See, there you go. Stock, the Will, the Brand. I can't keep it. I can't keep track of it.
Halvor.
And then we have Alana is being held captive by our TV head plumber guy that has captured the prince's
Dengo
kid, and now he's part of this revolution, and these revolution people are pretty unsavory folks, and we find out that he might be in a little over his head. He might not really know just how severe they are. And then Prince Robot is with Marco, and they're having some problems with their ship. They get attacked, I think.
Right? Prince Robot the Fourth's, King Robot has sent a legion, essentially kind of like a big old Star Destroyer ship, to track them down and give Prince Robot the ability to surrender and turn himself over or be killed and blown out of the sky.
But it's got some... because they get shot, there's something leaking in the engine room. Fuel leak. And our little SEAL buddy, well, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Gus, something like that. And then the actor lady who was doing all the drug dealing. Yuma, yeah. They're going to go try to patch this up. And Gus is going to sacrifice himself, but before he can, Yuma does. And she clubs him over the head so that she can be the one to patch up the fuel and I go out inhaling some fumes, I guess. Is that what she was doing, or was she taking drugs to do this, to have the strength to do this? I think
she was inhaling this tree. Was her big thing.
So yeah, she was inhaling the fumes of the fuel or something in there. Okay,
and getting it bit of a high off of that. And we get a little bit more backstory on Yuma before she dies, and kind of how she had some close calls in her life, and then she set out to always live in the now and do all the drugs, and kind of just that's what she wanted to do from here on out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. This isn't this didn't seem like a trade break. For this, so I think we've got some more time to go.
Yeah, we ended 24, so we're 4 issues in. We got 2 more before the next break.
2 more before the next break, yeah. Another solid issue for me. I gave it a B.
Yeah, it's a B+ for me. I like the other character, the brother of the stock. I like Elena kind of taking a little bit more charge in here, and kind of a good death for Yuma, who wasn't a real big character. Yeah, Yuma's childhood sweetheart was killed in combat, and grieving Evangeli declared herself sensualist. So she just went around painting and doing drugs and being an artist, and because they kind of talk about war and what war really does to people, and how a lot of the time the women suffer more than even the men that are in combat do.
Yeah, that was a kind of a cool point that they made. I like that.
So there's always... Brian K. Vaughan's always doing some cathartic things and some thinking things in this. So, I enjoyed the issue, and I'm hovered around an A- on this one. I'm really curious what they do with this whole arc, and if we're ever going to get our families back together again.
Yeah, maybe, but not right away. We've got The Last Days of Magneto, number 18, and... In our last episode, we talked about the sales numbers really plummeting on this, so we can probably see why.
We got a new artist, we got a new story, we got...
And as we read this issue in particular, we kind of see why it's ending, because this was really a throwaway, wasn't it?
Well, it's Secret Wars, so I think the remainder of this title is going to be these awful throwaways. Essentially, Marvel has trumped what Cullen Bunn was doing before with this title, and his cause and his purveyor of mutant kind, and hey, we're going to hijack you for the Secret Wars. And we get some dumb story about him and his daughter and saving the world and what can he do. And now for some odd reason, whenever he is magnetic, he has shockwaves all over him. And then we bounce back to him and Namor and that tumultuous relationship and what a twat that Namor really is. And it's just... a dumb story that, like, I don't care anything about this, and I'm a big Magneto fan, so this was just a bummer. So, like, this is a C-, and I just, this was the worst Magneto I've read, and they're going to kill this book before they kill this book.
Yeah. I gave it a C. I thought it was pretty bad, pretty average, and, yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. They're killing it before they're gonna have to kill it, because, nobody's buying it, and this was definitely a throwaway issue, and it's too bad.
It really is.
How did the second issue of Savior turn out?
The art is just as good. Our guy who pulls everybody back in from the cornfield there, you know, who brought the one girl out from the cornfield, he's got amnesia. We find out he doesn't know who he is, how he got there, if he was on the plane, if he was in the field, why he was naked, what he was doing. And we get some difficulty with him, but he is not really a human. We get some comparisons with him and a lot of Christian figmatism as he, kind of looks at his hands with holes in him. We see him essentially walking on water with wounds in his hand, very Jesus Christ-like. We see him pulling a very Wicked and Divine where he just thinks about it and his cigarette lights. So there is something pretty crazy going on here with this person that we're calling Savior, who I believe we saw shot in the face and killed in issue number 1 at the end of it, and before we jump back in time. So we just kind of deal with him chit-chatting with our main deputy sheriff, female that we've known a little bit. And then the other thing that she deals with is the kid Malcolm that we dealt with a little bit in issue 1. He's gone into the local Catholic church and he's written some very anti-religion things and kind of desecrated the church and spray painted it and everything. And we find out he's a bit of a troubled kid, and he's right now going through some tough times because right before this airplane landed and killed half the passengers on the airplane and a lot of pedestrians driving around the thing, he was constantly asking God for a sign. Send me a sign, send me a sign, send me a sign. And no longer does he say this than this plane falls out of midair on his tiny little town. And so he's kind of ridden with guilt that maybe this is the sign, and
that's a sign.
Maybe he asked for this, and all these people are dead because of him. So he's struggling with that back and forth quite a bit. So you deal with him and his being arrested and what he was thinking of doing, and then you deal with finding out that our I'm going to call him the Savior, doesn't have a name, number, or anything, and that when last we see him, he leaves the police station, and you see him spell out the word sorry. So we're wondering if maybe he had something to do with the crash as well, and what exactly is going on here. Art's still phenomenal. Story's still very well written. Characters are very well developed, and like I said, the art's off the chains on this. This was another A.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It's another A. You get a lot of cool stuff, and it bounces timelines right where it should, and it's very clear about the things when it does it, and the dialogue reads just like a movie. It reads quite well, so I'm still completely really impressed with this book, and Savior number 2 is really, really, really good.
Clayton Crane's doing the art on this, and he's crushing it. Brian Hogan and supposedly Todd McFarlane is doing the writing. And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. The first issue was really good. I haven't got a chance to read this one. I just glanced at some of the art. It's
Don't
really
miss
good.
it. It's worth reading.
So I'm looking forward to reading that one. Another one with really cool art is Run, Love, Kill.
Yeah, the art's quite
2.
good on Run, Love, Kill.
But it's also a breezy read.
Yes.
There was a lot of silent.
Yeah, we get like 4 pages of
first...
just general imbibing of drugs and alcohol and dance.
Yeah, and even most of the panels are sparse, which I kind of like, but it does not take long to read this. And if you start motoring through it, you might miss some things because there is plenty of panels of just partying at the bar.
But this is one that I don't think handles flashbacks and flash forwards well, whereas I said that Savior does. I mean, because our only real tip that we're going back in time and dealing with the previous version of Rain is the fact that the scar on her face is currently bandaged and not healed up like we have her in our current timeline. But it didn't... I was kind of confused as to that and kind of some of the time jumps and the flashbacks and flash currents. So I actually left this book more confused than I went into it, unfortunately, and that may be a me issue or it may be a storytelling issue, but it's not real clear. We've got Rain. She's got a certain set of skills. They want her to be alive. She keeps running away. They're going to kill her, but I don't really want to kill her, but they really want to kill her. She was supposed to be leaving, but now she's not leaving, but she's going to go to the bar and party. Is that the gist?
Yeah, I think that's about right. And I didn't even pick up that it was a flashback. So
yeah, if you look at her lip and
story.
her scar, the things you have where she's in that prison cell, that is a fresh wound. So I'm assuming that is before. That's how she got the scar, previous to her currently being scarred. So this may be the running away that we got at the beginning of issue 1 during the great cello scene of issue 1. Or what, but it seems to be a slightly different time frame. But I don't think it's handled well. I think this one could have used 6 months earlier, or a literal timestamp on it.
Yeah, I can see that. There's something about it I still like, though. I think it's something to do with the art and the storytelling, the way that the panels are laid out. There's something here, but yeah, the story itself isn't real clear. It's an 8-issue miniseries. We're 2 in. I'll give it another one.
Yeah,
this
is a solid B comic. This reminds me a lot of Aeon Flux that used to be on.
It does.
So I think that's kind of what it reaches out and gets me, is a little bit of weird Aeon Flux stuff from the old MTV Inc. or whatever it used to be days. So I catch that elongated and that kind of pseudo-futuristic vibe to it. But as far as the actual plot, it's a little more confusing than I think it should be. And I think it's because they go for stylistics instead of substance. Again, this is another issue where I'm not real keen on the story or know what it is, yet we've got 4 pages of our book wasted on just artistic endeavors, be it drugs and dancing. Whereas in issue 1, we wasted a bunch of pages with cello and running. Man, our story could really use told in these instances.
Yeah, I can definitely understand what you're saying there. I mean, I enjoy those panels while I'm watching them or reading them and gazing at them. But then when I'm done with the story, I'm like, I might have missed some stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Rebels #2. This is a Dark Horse comic written by Brian Wood with art by Andrea Muti and of course colors by Jordi Belair.
They put something in here specifically for me in the front page I want to read. Rebels is a story of historical fiction, and in some places times and events have been compressed to fit the narrative, and some key historical figures appear in locations where perhaps they never were. The writer assumes all responsibilities. So we are dealing with literal historics, but we're going to take some liberties with it, so don't be too demanding on timelines and places. I thought that was cool, because I scrutinize that kind of thing if it's something I'm familiar with, so I thought that was cool that they put that in there for me.
Yeah, this is a really cool issue because we get our main character. He kind of comes back. If you recall last issue, he found this young girl and fell in love, and they got married, and then he ran off to war, and now he comes back.
Seth.
And Seth. And we get to spend a little time with her before he gets there to kind of see her life and what her life is like, because she's all by herself in this cabin, and she has to do everything in this turn of the century life that is just really hard.
She cooks, she cleans, she butchers, she mends, she sweeps, all while talking to nobody.
All while talking to nobody. She has to do all the sewing and the cooking and the cleaning and protecting herself, and she has close. They're Native Americans. Could have done something. They were just over the hill. She had her flintlock right around the corner, so she could have protected herself. But at one point, she kind of stops and puts her hand on her back, and she's young, and it's still beating her up. This day-to-day drudgery of just existing and how hard it is, which I thought was really well done. And then
it gives you a sense. It gives you a sense of the pressure that Seth's under. That she's not happy with how it works, but she's got an understanding that things need to be done, and she understands. But to an extent, it's not a fun lifestyle she's currently utilizing.
No, and he comes back, and he does feel bad about it, but not enough not to go fight the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, because originally
what
it
right?
is he's signed up to fight for the colonies locally. They're defending their home. They're getting the British off their current land and away from where they currently are. And Seth's talking in the holes of the entire American Revolution and gaining the complete of independence, whereas Mercy is like, you were just supposed to help us gain our freedom here, that we can be a family. You don't need to be so grandiose as to go everywhere and fight everybody's battle for them. Let the Carolinians fight the Carolinians, or fight the Carolinians battle. Let the Massachusetts fight the Massachusetts battle. You were supposed to just fight our battle and then come back to me. And that seems to be the struggle that she's not too happy about. She understood what she signed up for, but Seth seems to be a little more grandiose and understanding that this is an entire giant war and not just a series of small battles.
Yeah, it does a good sense. It really gets that across, and the fact that he's going to leave her to this life that she's going to be in it, it's going to be all for a while. So this was really good. I really liked this, and thought it was a really good glimpse of that time period, and I like the characters were really fleshed out a lot in this, a lot more than they were before, and really strong. So I gave it an A-.
Yeah, it's an A- for me. I like how they even a sense of, you're getting how the American Revolutionaries fought a completely different war than the British do, whereas the British are, completely offended at every turn at some of the tactics that the Americans make and the way that they fight this war, to them sneaking in and stealing the plans for battle from the British general, and how the British general reacts to that kind of thing. So a really nice, fun story to tell, and I like the fact that it curtails back into his relationship with his wife and his family, and the reason that he's really fighting this whole fight, and even if it's going a little more broader reach, what's really at stake for him. So I thought it was quite good. This is one of the Dark Horse ones I'm quite enjoying.
And I can't, when I read this, I think of Manifest Destiny too as like a bookend for this.
Absolutely.
But I think this is a little more serious book. It's not as fantastical. Definitely not as fantastical.
This one doesn't involve Buffalo Tars.
But they do feel like they're in the same family, and it's a really good one too. I like it a lot. Let's see. Chrononauts #3. This thing was a madcap adventure, wasn't it?
It was crazy.
Just non-stop.
Now, is this an of 4?
This is 3 of 4, yeah.
Man, they got a lot to get into this next issue, but it seems all this friggin' crap that Mark Millar's doing, he keeps leaving me wanting more. With Starlight, I wanted more issues than they gave me. With this, I can already tell I want more issues than they're going to give me. So I'm savoring each and every one of these, knowing that there's only one more coming after this.
Well, this issue is the very expensive car chase scene in the movie that's going to be chock full of CGI and will have taken a long time to shoot, and our actors will talk about it on the talk shows about how hard it was to film all day, every day, for weeks and weeks at a time to get this just right, because this is a long car chase that goes across time and space and takes forever, and takes the whole issue really, and it's definitely cinematic, don't you think?
It's definitely written in a way that's very movie-esque.
Yeah, he's really going for the movie scenes in this thing, and yeah, it was. And the cool thing was he gets back to the time period where he's going to just kind of stay, and his number 2 guy, it turns out he's going to go traitor on him and try to take over, because he's figured out that it's the suit that makes him who he is, and he wants that suit, so he got it.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The number 2 that we had from Danny, our original character, when he was back in Samaria or whatever, the number 2 lieutenant general, had always been there for a coup d'etat. I thought you meant like our two main characters, 1 and 2, had turned on each other, and I was like, wait, no, that's not what I read.
Oh yeah. It's the number 2 back in wherever they had used technology to become the king. He'd used the technology to become the king there, and he had the number 2 guy that turned code on him.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting twist, and I guess that'll be what we do in issue 4. We'll figure out how we get out of that scrape, and if we end up back in present day. And I guess that they've got ideas for another couple of arcs for this down the road.
Oh, that's cool.
My
favorite.
That kind of tells you that nothing bad's going to happen to him.
My favorite parts of this were I think they killed Joe Namath at one point, and that
it looked like
they
it. Yeah,
made Lee Harvey Oswald shoot a special operative for the Time Travel Agency. I thought that was quite fun.
Yeah, I did like that, and I think Kennedy made it.
Seems like Kennedy survived now. Yeah, I'm wondering
so that was
the
cool.
time difficulties of all the things that they've changed in there, and if there's ramifications in the current day because of it.
Well, we're not going to know any of that junk
In one issue.
There's not going to be... Yeah, they can't tie up all those loose ends because they really, really messed with the time stuff. I don't know if I like this as much as I did when I first read it, the first issue. This was very frenetic, this issue, and it just feels like there's a lot of empty calories there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was still good, and I'm just at a B- now though.
Yeah, I'm sitting at a B on this, and this one was just like I said, I think it's too few issues. 4. I think we could have drug this out a little bit more and got a 5th or 6th issue out of it, and not had to be such a frenetic pace of it. But we'll see how it ends on issue 5 and see maybe it'll all work out perfectly.
Issue 4, we're just going to do one more, so yeah. Let's see, Injection number 1. I don't know if I didn't read this one. Tell me all about it.
I didn't read this one either, now that I realize it. I did not read this one. This was...
okay.
I wanted
Mantle
to
number
because
1.
this was our creative team from Moon Knight. But I did not get to Injection
right.
number 1. I thought I did. Mantle, I actually really enjoyed Mantle. This reminded me a lot of The Bounce that I had read previous. In that you have just a random drug-addled guy who's enjoying his life, going to clubs and just being a typical 20-something. And then he is all of a sudden blessed with superpowers. And it freaks him out. And when he's blessed with superpowers, 3 additional characters show up on his door and say, you've been given the mantle of the superhero. And by the way, there's a dude immediately about to try to kill you because you have these superpowers. And like 50 of you have died in the last 100 years or whatever. You know, this is what he does, is he takes whoever has this power out. So we need to get you trained as quickly as possible so you're not just going to get, beat down. So we meet our cast of characters, the 3 other people, they're all women. You've got one Amazon type woman who's a super genius, but also very, very... I'm sorry, it's 2 women and a man, I think. A super genius and also a big hulking brute with super strength. One character who can essentially teleport from one place to another, and then one who can talk to the dead is their superpowers. And then whoever gains the power of this mantle has essentially almost like Superman powers. They have the ability to flight, strength, and kind of like a just an energy matter around them. So, but we just see this battle between the Nemesis and the Mantle, and he thinks he's got a really good handle on his powers, and then you get a really, really kind of weird, disgusting thing where the Nemesis just punches his head off and it explodes and he's dead. And that's the end of it. And he flies off and says, alright, cool, another Mantle's down. He warns the other 3 to stay out of his way and stop training these people and warning them that this is the way that things are supposed to be. And what he does is he kills these people. And then the very last panel we find out that the guy who was the Mantle before, his girlfriend has just been imbibed with that power as well. So now we know that the same thing's going to happen to her, as she's going to be hunted and killed unless she can learn on the fly and really harness these powers and figure out what her next step is supposed to be. So I think it flowed really well. I like the cast of characters, and I like the hapless superhero aspect of it. So it was a B+, and I think a very good start to a comic. And I'm not sure if this is a short run or if it's planned as an ongoing.
Well, they're always ongoing
This
until
is
they're
true.
not, right?
And this is
Image.
this is Ed Brisson, Brian Lavelle, and Jordan Boyd, creative team on this one.
Nice. I started this one and got about 4 pages in, and then didn't get a chance to finish.
It's worth reading, because I like
forward
those
to it.
alternative heroes and the hapless person who is the farthest thing from a superhero who just all of a sudden is a superhero.
Nice. Did I miss anything? Is that all you read this week?
I think that is all I read this week. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, we want to thank you for listening to Comics for Fun and Profit, and please check out our website, comicsfunprofit.com, for all our links. You can also find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or send us an email at comicsforfunandprofit@gmail.com if you want to send us some feedback on some of the things we reviewed, some of the things we didn't review, and let us know what you think. So we appreciate it. Appreciate you listening, and thanks for listening.
See ya.
I'm redundant today.